What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today I'm sharing swatches of the new Essie Sol Searching collection for summer 2024. We've got 6 brand new nail polishes and it's a really interesting color story, mostly creams, and it kind of leans into this pink, orange, yellow, neutral kind of vibe. Now if you haven't heard of Essie before, they are a mainstream nail polish brand and all of their polishes are 8 free, meaning they are free of 8 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They're vegan, meaning they do not use any animal-derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty-free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. So I was really intrigued to try this collection because I actually love this color story, even though individually these are the types of colors that I usually say I don't love. So let me show you the swatches, then we can talk a little bit more about my thoughts on them, and then we can get into pricing, availability, all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Orly Bonder base coat. We'll start off with this shade Breathe In, Breathe Out, and this one is a light, dusty orchid cream shade. And you can see in that first stroke, this was a very opaque polish. And I love to see that, especially when we're talking about a lighter shade like this. This one pretty much gave me 1 coat coverage, but I ended up putting on a second just to show you what it looked like. And it really looked beautiful in 2 as well. I would almost describe this as a spring kind of shade just because of the dustiness and lightness of this color. But what's really interesting about it is it has this sort of white undertone to it that I think gives it a little bit more of a summery vibe. It's not as gray. It's almost like it's just softened with white. So I thought that was really interesting. Next up we have the shade Sun-Renity. It's just kind of a clunky pun, but I'll give them credit for it. But this one I would actually describe as a dusty rose. So we've got a warmer, pinkier tone, a little bit deeper, but again we have that sort of dusty desaturation going on. And again, this one was just so opaque. It pretty much gave me 1 coat coverage, but I ended up doing a second coat. And again, this is kind of a color that I would consider to be more of a springy shade, but because of the undertone to it that almost has like a yellowy color, I do think that that almost warms it up a little bit and makes it more of a transition from spring into summer vibes. And it also just feels like a very classic kind of nail color. So I actually really enjoyed this one as well. Next up we have the namesake of the collection. This one is Soul Searching, and this one is another dusty cream shade, this time in a medium orange tone. And this was another one that was just incredibly opaque. This one actually was fully 1 coat coverage on my nails, which I was so impressed by. I love to see that when it comes to cream finishes because that's usually what I reach for when I'm doing nail art. And I think it's really important to have a very opaque color when you're doing nail art, just so you don't have to do layers of a design. So I was really impressed with that. This is what it looks like in 2 coats. Again, looking at this shade on its own, it doesn't seem like it would be a summer color. This is almost a little bit more autumnal to me, but together with the collection, I feel like it really works. Moving on, we have a shimmer. This one is called Glisten to Your Heart, and it's described as a sand color. So we have this really interesting beigey yellow base, and then we have a gorgeous iridescent shimmer running throughout that mostly looks pink, but it kind of shifts into gold. And I know I'm going to surprise everyone with this one, but this was actually my favorite polish in the collection. There is just something so gorgeous about this color, and it really does feel like the perfect summer neutral because it does look like sand, and having that extra little shimmer in there just makes it feel a little bit more special. So I started off with 2 coats and I actually did love the way that it looked in 2. It had a very slight sheerness to it, but it did cover up that visible nail line. It just almost felt like a softer neutral, but I ended up popping on a 3rd coat to show you what it looked like, a little bit more full coverage, and I did like it this way as well. And I thought it was really interesting because I have a pretty warm undertone, so I wasn't sure that this color was going to suit me. I thought it might maybe make my skin tone look a little bit weird, but I think it ended up working really well. So yeah, this ended up being my favorite. And then we have the shade Meditation Heaven. This one is a light yellow cream shade, and you can see it's not like a primary yellow. It's definitely softened with a little bit of white. And if you've been watching my recent videos, you know that I've been struggling a little bit with yellows lately. For some reason, they just have not been applying well for me, and they also just are not getting opaque for me. But this one was a somewhat pleasant surprise. It still ended up taking 3 3 coats for opacity, which is not surprising because I think that's pretty common. And I did find it to be very slightly less self-leveling than the other shades in the collection, but the formula was still very workable and smooth. And again, it's opaque enough that I think it would still work really well for nail art without having to do multiple layers, because that white undertone does make it a little bit brighter and more opaque. So I wasn't disappointed with this one, and I'll chalk that up as a win. And last but not least, we have this shade It's All Bright. And this one was another favorite of the collection because this is just the most stunning champagne metallic foil shimmer. And I think it is so beautiful in however many coats you want to do. When I did the first coat, it was still very sheer, but it almost just felt like a tiny little wash of like foily color on my nails. And I thought that was so cute. And then I did 2 coats, which gave me a lot of shimmer, but again, it still felt like it had a little bit of a sheer vibe to it, which, as you know, I do like that. And I also ended up doing a 3rd coat just to see what it looked like, and that's how I got the fullest coverage. But like I said, I would honestly wear this in any amount of coats. I love that champagne color that we have, that's sort of that mix of gold and silver. And then within that, we also have these slightly larger silver specks that just catch the light so beautifully and make it a little bit more elevated of a polish. I think it's just such a perfect special occasion color, and I feel like I could really make this work for any time of year. It's giving me a little bit of like a New Year's vibe, but I still love it. And here are all of the polishes together, and I have to say, I love the way that these shades look side by side. I think it's such an interesting color story, and the colors individually are totally not what I expected for summer. In fact, if I saw this, I would probably think it was a spring collection, but individually, I feel like the colors also definitely work for different seasons, but somehow when you put it all together, it ends up working really well for summer as well, especially this time where it's kind of spring shifting into summer. So you're still getting all of those springy, flowery kind of colors, but you're also including these brighter orangey, golden, yellow kind of shades. So I thought that was really interesting, and I'll talk a little bit more about my thoughts on color stories and how that affects my perception of a collection. But overall, I was really impressed. I think the formulas were so smooth and easy to work with, and I feel like it's just a classic brand, so I'm very pleased to see that they are just consistently coming out with good quality products. So those are the polishes, and as you can see, I really enjoyed these. Just in general, I feel like I really love the Essie formula now. You may recall, if you've been watching me for a while, that there was a good few years where I stopped using Essie because I just wasn't a fan of their formula. I felt like it was a little bit more difficult, not very self-leveling, and it didn't really last on me too long. But in the recent years, they definitely have changed and improved it a lot, and now I always reach for my Essies. They're just so opaque and creamy and very self-leveling, and the brush that they have now is just really incredible for application. But on this collection specifically, I have to say, this is why I love a good color story. I talk about this a lot, but the color palette or the color story of a collection always really helps shift my perception of what I think of nail polishes. Sometimes there can be a really pretty polish that I think is nice individually, but when it comes in a collection of beautiful colors together, it just makes me want that color more. And I feel like that also is the case when there's colors that I normally wouldn't really love, but seeing them all together just feels so inspiring. And that's how I felt about this collection. I feel like I've kind of not been loving yellows and dusty orchid kind of shades, but when I saw all of these side by side, I just wanted to wear them all together. And I think they would be really gorgeous together in nail art as well. I just think it's such a beautiful palette of colors together. And because I like the colors together, I feel like it's also going to make me more likely to wear the colors individually. But I know not everybody is like that, so I'm actually really curious. Are you a color story person, or do you like to just think of polishes individually? Let me know in the comments because I'm curious. But now let's get into pricing and availability. All of these polishes are available wherever Essie is sold. I get mine from Beyond Polish, which is an online nail polish retailer. And on their website, the 13.5 milliliter bottles retail for $7.85 USD each. And I also do have a discount code, so you can use the code KELLI to get 10% off your order. I will link it down below. If you are interested, you can check them out. But yeah, I'm so curious to hear everybody's thoughts. I know this is a very mainstream color palette, and I know that it's also mainstream finishes. And I feel like a lot of my community is more into the indie style kind of polishes a little bit more. But I personally love these, so I want to know if you do too. Let me know in the comments. We can chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe. I put out new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. And of course, a huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon, my royal astronomer Amanda M, as well as my cosmic admirals Ken, Rosie, and Angel. I really appreciate your support, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's fun fact question is another would you rather. Would you rather have a mountain view or lit up skyscrapers outside your bedroom window? Honestly, I would be the same level of happy with either of those. I love going to sleep with like a bustling city, noises and lights around me, but I also love the peace and quiet of like a mountain vibe. So honestly, I don't think I could decide. I think it just depends on my mood. I feel like a lot of people either need to sleep in absolute silence or they need to sleep with sounds on, like have the TV going, have a fan blowing, all that stuff. And honestly, despite being a person who's a slight insomniac, I could go to sleep either way. I could go to sleep in total silence, or I could go to sleep with like low murmuring noises. And I feel like I've kind of lived both situations, not specifically having a view, but like living in a bustling city, which is admittedly annoying for filming stuff, but is nice to go to sleep to. And also having like that rural mountain kind of vibe. And I'm perfectly happy with either of them. I don't think I can choose. I guess right now I kind of have the best of both worlds because Vegas is like a valley that's surrounded by like mountains and hills. So you kind of always see this beautiful view wherever you are. It's also really close to the Strip, which is like a bustling, touristy, fun city. So I feel like I kind of have both right now. So it's very nice. We currently have blackout curtains that we keep closed almost all the time in the bedroom, but I do actually also enjoy the kind of vibe where you're like waking up with the light, but Ryan cannot sleep like that. So we do keep the blackout curtains closed. So I guess it wouldn't really matter what my view is because I wouldn't see it. But it is kind of nice in a hotel when you can like have those sheer curtains and just kind of see everything glittering, or just the silent darkness is very nice too. But yeah, if you want to answer the would you rather question, would you rather have a mountain view or skyscrapers? Leave it in the comments and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.